What is going on, everyone? Tunde here. So I just want to give you my first impressions on Ghost of Tsushima. So currently, right now, I've put about 5 hours into the game. I haven't done too much story stuff. I'm still in Act One. A lot of stuff that I've been doing has been mainly a lot of the side stuff. But overall, as an early impression, I do like the game a lot. I feel that the way that they have designed the world and everything it is really great. One of the things that I do like how they've handled everything is mainly in the UI. So if some of you don't know what Sucker Punch has done in order to try and get the open world to be more immersive, is that they've kind of made a more minimalist UI. So with that, unlike other games like, in Ubisoft games like Assassin's Creed, where you have icons everywhere kind of pointing you exactly where all of the side missions are and where to go and things like that. In this game, what they've done is that in order to kind of see objectives they can do in the map, you have to first open up your map and then select it. And then through that, you have this mechanic that they call the guiding wind mechanic, where through it, essentially what would happen is that you would swipe up on the touchpad of the DualShock 4 controller, and then there would be a gust of wind that will point you to where to go. And the reason why I like that a lot is because it kind of makes it so that way you're not really focused on looking at an icon or mini-map the entire time that you're trying to explore this world. It kind of makes you kind of take in the beauty of everything and kind of like, look around to see everything where you're going. So in this one, you spend a lot more time actually, looking around the forest areas in the game, the mountains, things like that. Other things that I found really cool is even how they guide you to certain missions. So, for example, there are these things called fox dens, where essentially what would happen is that you go to the fox den, and then you meet a fox that will lead you over to another shrine called an Inari shrine that will give you these charms that you can use to help boost your character stats, either in like defense or help you regenerate more health by doing damage or killing enemies, or essentially healing you more, or increasing your resolve meter, which is this little yellow circles at just above your health that you can use for special moves and healing yourself, things like that. Other things that are really cool is the combat. I do like the combat a lot, and how in a battle you can't just go in and just mash, otherwise you're going to get destroyed. You kind of have to be patient with the way that you're kind of going around tackling a lot of the enemies. And through this, throughout the game, you can learn other stances that tackle different enemy types. So for example, in the gameplay that I have here, I've unlocked what's called the water stance, which is the stance they use that will allow you to stagger shield enemies a lot better, compared to the default stance that you get called the stone stance. And there are other stances as well that I can get that help against spear enemies. And then in the menu, there's one other stance in there as well, but it doesn't really tell you what that is. I think you might unlock that later on in the story through a main story mission. I could be wrong about that. Other things that I found really interesting as well is just the way that they kind of get everything blended together in terms of the way that your character acts and moves around. They do one of the main big focuses on this game, as it's in the title, is that your main character Jin is a character that's kind of struggling with, he's struggling with his desire to stick to his samurai code, which is a code that makes him fight with honor and looking his enemy in the eye, and always, not trying to stab people in the back, but the main enemy that he's fighting, the Mongols, have kind of learned the ways of that samurais do things, and are trying to use that against them. Like, for example, in one scene, there's one scene in the beginning where, when they start their assault on Tsushima Island, they send out one of their best samurai warriors to go and face their leader one-on-one combat. And then the Mongol leader, essentially what he does is that instead of facing him one-on-one combat, he sprays wine on him and then lights him on fire instead of facing him in one-on-one combat. So through that, Jin learns that, hey, I can't really, the way that I've been taught to be honorable isn't working. I gotta try something else, which is where he essentially gets the persona of being the ghost of the Tsushima Island, where essentially he works in the shadows and he starts, sneaking around, stabbing people in the back, making his enemies fear him, and things like that, and doing things that he would never initially do before, which is use other weapons that samurai would normally use, such as like kunai knives and smoke bombs and stun bombs to defeat enemies, burning them right in front of them and things like that. That's one thing that I kind of find interesting that they constantly go back to. Like, there's even one scene where I did a assassination on someone, and then out of nowhere, I wasn't expecting this, there was a little flashback scene of Jin remembering the words of his uncle, and remember him saying, like, always try to be honorable. And then after I did the assassination, Jin apologizes to his uncle for kind of going away from the things that were taught from him. Other things that I want to touch on in the game is the photo mode. This game, you're going to use the photo mode a lot. I'm telling you that right now. Like, almost every scene in every area in this game looks like some kind of painting or a movie. Like, I know that Sucker Punch said that they did take a lot from Japanese cinema and cinema in general when making this game, and man, it shows. Like, especially when you get to areas like the Golden Temple, like those areas look amazing. And even like just like going to areas where you see like the sun setting, you can barely see anything in the forest, like everything looks like you're walking through like a really highly detailed camera lens. You just want to use the photo mode a lot just to view everything. So with that kind of goes over all of the main thoughts I have about the game. I'll touch on a few negatives. So the main negative that I have with the game is, while I do like the combat, the main thing that I don't like about it, which I hope that they either patch or even look into the next game if they make one, is the lack of a lock-on for enemies. So sometimes what will happen is that if you're surrounded by a bunch of enemies, you'll want to target one enemy, but Jin will out of nowhere target another enemy instead. And I find that happens a lot, especially when I'm trying to, focus on taking out archers that are hidden far away. Because I find that to make the battles a lot easier, you want to kind of take them out first and then focus on the other guys. And sometimes what will happen is that when I'm trying to go attack an archer, if there's another guy right beside the archer, Jin will focus on the other guy rather than the archer that I want to attack, which kind of makes it a little bit more difficult to do what you want to do. Another thing that I feel that can be done a little bit better is that I find that the stealth mechanics in this game make the game a little bit too easy, because the AI doesn't really know what to do when you're in stealth. Like, so for example, when you go and take out an enemy in stealth and their other buddies right beside them to their back, their buddy doesn't react to you assassinating them at all. They just stand there and keep going. Another thing that I find too is that it looks like the enemies don't react to where they see dead bodies on the ground. They kind of just walk over the dead bodies and act like nothing's happened, which is one thing that I found really strange. So if you kind of want to give yourself a challenge in this game and don't want to take the easy route, I kind of suggest not relying on stealth too much, because I feel like if you do, you're going to kind of kind of get bored of the game because you're gonna feel like, oh, I'm just mowing through these enemies and they're not even seeing me or reacting or doing anything. So that's one thing that I'd recommend there. But yeah, overall, I do like the game a lot. I'll try and see about putting out a full review after I have completed the game. That may take me a while because this game is very, very long and I am trying to do everything. Like, I was reading online and apparently the game takes about 50 hours to do most of the side missions for most people from what I was reading. So yeah, you do get a lot for your money in this game. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the game. I want to hear what you guys thought about it, so feel free to leave comments down below, and also leave feedback on the video, or what you thought about what I said. If you agreed or disagreed, I want to have a discussion in the comments. And also, if you did like the video and want to see more, feel free to like and subscribe on the video, and then also share with your friends and let them check it out too. But yeah, that's all I had to say. So I'll see you guys later. I hope you all are staying safe. Goodbye. So see you guys later, and peace.